I've been watching two sci-fi movies on Amazon. I've been watching The Expanse. I don't know if anyone's seen that. And on Netflix, I've been watching Altered Carbon. And they're both a few hundred years in the future. Very interesting look into fairly deep future. The thing that you see is that, the world has dramatically changed, but human nature is pretty much the same. And I think what we need to do now is to think for generations down the road. The world's going to look very different, probably unimaginable to us, just like the world now is unimaginable to people 100 years ago. But the important thing is that there's the core human values that we want to see fostered in humanity. That I think we need to do now. We need to project that now, live that now. What type of world do we want to see for our great, great, great grandchildren? I see that for me, it's so important to keep my heart open. It closes down every day, often under very minor situations. And I see it's such an important practice for me to observe that, and then when I honor it, and then find a different way of connecting to the situation. Not even for the other person. I see how I cut myself off from all the higher frequencies when I close my heart off. And it's a big project. It's a big job to all that conditioning that is pushing me to close down and to withdraw and to write someone off or to respond in a way that escalates the situation. To come back in a way that is full of heart, for me is a big project, and I would say my main sadhana now. So I recommend that everyone can watch what happens when the heart starts to close down. Physically, mentally. When we have all this stress and anxiety, I think it does lead to more easily to fall into irritability. And I do see that a lot. Quite a few people are contacting me, and I can see how this anxiety leads to irritability. So I want to open it up to hear from you also. I think everyone knows that, fear is not a good response to our situation. Again, not by minimizing the situation. That's where it gets tricky. We want to recognize the immensity of the threat, and we want to deal with our fear. Hermanjali sent out her weekly newsletter, Integrated newsletter, and there was an article there, I think it was by Mitra Lerner, And he quotes Hafiz. I really enjoyed seeing this very short quote from the poet Hafiz. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I like to see you in better living conditions. I love that. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I'd like to see you in better living conditions. So we know that how the fear wears us down. You know, during a crisis, that's when you'll see the samskaras that are beneath the surface. They'll come up, they'll force their way up. And that's good, because in the subconscious, we can't really deal with them. So this is a good opportunity to see what's coming up and find a better way to deal with this. So maybe people could share a little bit about what's coming up for you and how are you working with that. If anyone has achieved that, maybe they should answer. I think the mind, whatever, we may touch that quiet place that is never disturbed for a few moments of meditation. That is so nourishing. We shouldn't minimize that at all. But as we get up and move around, to hold on to that, I'm not at that level yet. But I definitely see that having that few moments in that formal practice where I touch something does permeate things. It does, I think the spectrum of how upset or how far I go from that has narrowed over time. For me, you know, I try to keep the thread going by mantra repetition. People may have their own way of doing it, but, and not just mechanically repeating the mantra. I mean, many times I am mechanically repeating the mantra, but whenever I become aware of that, can I put my heart and have the faith that deep resonance is coming from that source, and it's permeating me, it's permeating my mind, it's permeating my life view. To me, it's the simplest and most powerful way to try to keep that meditative state alive. And then, yeah, just as I was saying, watch my reactions and be hypersensitive to my reactiveness and how it diminishes the quality of my life. I was going to say two things. Those would be the two things: mantra repetition and awareness of my reactions, and awareness of how painful it is to live in that narrow scope, that closed-hearted vision of life. I'm sure there are many other answers. And for me, of course, you know, I live in an ashram, particularly now that we're closed. It's easy to do this, but I meditate 3 times a day. So it's not that one time in a day I touch that spot. I'll touch it in the morning, I'll lose it, I have another chance to touch it at noon, and then in the evening. So I would say during this time, if you can, you know, do more than one meditation a day, that would be very good. I've been reading Krishnadasa's biography, I think Chant for Life, mostly about his guru, Neem Kroli Baba. And his guru said in a very simple way that may be an answer to Shankar's question also. Someone asked some question about something along the lines of how to lead a spiritual life. And Maharaj Ji said, be kind to everyone. Try to stay out of quarrels. It's easier to get into quarrels. Stay out of quarrels if you can. And focus on what you're doing. And everything will turn out okay. I like that last part. You focus on what you're doing. Don't worry about the whole picture. You have a part in the picture. You do your part and try to spread some kindness. If you can alleviate some suffering, that'd be wonderful. But pay attention to what's in front of you, what your destiny has brought you, and then trust that things are going to turn out okay. I think a big part of Shankar's question about, staying calm is having some level of trust that things are going to turn out okay. And as I said in that movie about the hotel in India, if things are going to turn out okay in the end. If it's not okay, it means it's not the end yet. So I'm a deep believer in that philosophy. Yeah, that's a big one. I understand the need for social distancing, but social isolation can be problematic. I like the fact that I live in a community, so we are keeping our distance somewhat, but everyone's still around. Yeah, at a time when, usually in a crisis, it's so good to have social support. And if we're just sitting in our room watching the death count go up, we're really going to sink into a low place. So it's so important that we have something constructive to do at this time. Everyone should have some project. We have some more time on our hands. It's so important to use that well. Yeah, so if you are feeling that the isolation is really starting to be unhealthy for the mind, I think everyone has to have, like Parvati says, some plan, some discipline. I'm working on a book on the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm putting my time into that. And that's so wonderful to focus on those teachings and to fill my mind and my heart with those ideas. So definitely some type of spiritual reading or study, swadhyaya, is important at this time. And also, it's good to have some humor in your life. Anything that can lighten things up, I think, is crucial. And maybe talk to yourself. Now I'm going to the bathroom. Now I'm eliminating. Thank God. Whatever, it's just, you have yourself to talk to. For me, I hope for a number of you, having faith in the Guru is a thing that holds me most steady. And for me also, recognizing that there's a dreamlike quality to this level of existence, which doesn't mean that we don't take it seriously, but there will come a time when we experience another reality. So I think we should do what we can at our current level of consciousness and recognize that we're going to be moving to another level of consciousness. And at that level, things are quite different. I don't know if those words make sense to anybody, but, oh yeah, Shankar Friend is saying that. It's something, yeah. Yeah. I have this on my wall. I don't know if you can read it. It's in Gurudev's handwriting. Guru Guru Jap Nam, Ao Swaram Swap Nam. And the translation would be, do the japa that the Guru gave you and recognize that everything else is a dream. It's a very beautiful, high level of thinking. Do the japa, repeat the mantra that you received from the Guru, and don't get caught up in too obsessed with this level. The main thing we should do at this level is take good care of our instruments and see how we can use them in the service of others. So let's conclude with 3 Shramakam mantras for the welfare of everybody, even encouraging this virus. We wish this virus well in our own way, but it can move on and hopefully leave us alone, and feel that the Mahamrityunjaya mantra really is something that sends powerful energy out into the world. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvaru Kamive Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvaru Kamive Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvaru Kamive Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And let's really send out positive energy into the world now. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness. Victory to that light. Jai Shri Satguru Maharaj Ki Jai.